and go, whoa, what just happened?
And practice happens fast, too. Only 25 minutes for each of the groups. We open our coverage with the 99 of Matt DiBenedetto. And when I see him on track and I think about Matt at Bristol, I think about how close he was to winning a cup race here. And Denny Hamlin, who's got almost 60 wins in his career, took it away from him. I would love to have seen Matt win that race.
Heartbreaking. He was so close and worked so hard for this opportunity at Levine Family Racing and was doing a great job, but got that little bit of left front damage. To win a cup race at Bristol would have been absolutely massive. It was a massive run anyway, but it just would have been such a cool moment.
Who did you make mad that weekend on the production team? So when the race was over, they said, hey, Parker, you get DiBenedetto today after that heart-wrenching loss.
It's usually where they sent me every time. I never thought about it that way, but maybe I just wasn't well-liked, I guess.
Anthony Alfredo driving the 42, Young's Motorsports, and you think about Anthony, it's been a good track for him, a run of top 15s. And I was watching back the race in the fall. You were racing against him. He qualified third. Unbelievable effort last year when he was driving for our Motorsport.
It really was, and it was all season he would do things like that last year. He continually had great speed and qualifying in a lot of different places, and they sometimes in the races wouldn't have the same speed, but they'd get by themselves so much time by qualifying so well. Hasn't quite had that this year with Young Motorsports, but I feel like this is a team that if they could sort of get the luck back in the correct direction, they could turn things around, because he has had maybe even better race speed than he had last year. We're watching down into 3, getting onto the bottom, and he's might get a little loose right there. Yep, that will happen. That's where you basically, the corner starts almost halfway down the straightaway. Where you lift, you start to get in the brake, and you try to give yourself a little bit of arc and get your left front to that yellow line, but sometimes the rear end just doesn't agree. It doesn't quite have the grip, and you get a slide like you saw Anthony Alfredo, Kim, and we'll see that all.
Absolutely, and he warned me of this. I talked to Anthony about these temperatures and not a lot of rubber in the track, in addition to the PJ1 not kind of setting in. He said he expects anybody using the bottom to be very, very slick. That'll actually probably drive guys up to the top lane where you'll see tires eat faster, but he was really adamant that he wanted to make sure his car would work on the bottom, because in the race, when you see guys working the top, he's got to find somewhere else to go, and the bottom is typically that place. But to your point about an atypical season for him, very frustrated in the bad luck that they've had. They're really looking at Bristol as a kind of reset race. We have not seen the typical kind of start to the season that we typically see from Anthony Alfredo, and you can really tell when you talk to him, there's a lot of frustration, and they're not able to build that notebook with the new team he's with this year, and building on the season, not being able to finish races.
That is tough. It's so tough when you know you have the potential and you've got everything that you feel like you can control going correctly, and then there's just certain circumstances that take that away from you, and you just have to buckle. As Parker Retzlaff gets very loose down into turn 1 right there. He's currently P1, so he put a good lap down, but that car is moving around a lot. He's trying to get that left front below the yellow line. There's a bit of grip down there if you do that. And we should mention, obviously, that the track has PJ1, that sticky stuff is the technical term for it, Adam. And that's what the drivers are trying to use down on the bottom, but that will sort of move around. That material, that spray they put down sort of pushes up the track, and that's when the top lane comes in.
So you want to develop a good race car in practice, but you want the best conditions. You see right there, Taylor Gray just now getting on track. We've not yet seen William Sawalich, the rookies from Joe Gibbs Racing, waiting to go out. Brennan Poole, hey, let's highlight him. Dash for Cash eligible today. He'll be in Group 2. Group 1 led by Parker Retzlaff.
How do you stand on that lip?
I hope I didn't alienate any of the other competitors by doing that. Maybe put a little money on the guys from Joe Gibbs Racing. We mentioned going to break the fact that Sawalich hadn't been out there. Gray was yet to practice. They were going out right as we went away, and they are fast. Top 3 all young drivers from the Toyota camp. Sawalich, Heim, and Gray.
About a half-tenth faster than what we saw the pole was last year. So these cold temperatures, ton of grip here in Bristol. Felt that last night. We were racing basically same temperatures, 40 degrees or so. And it means you can turn some really fast lap times around here. And it feels like you're going 1,000 miles per hour sometimes, Adam, because you're just constantly in the throttle. You get in the rhythm and you're turning laps so quickly you don't even realize you're completing them at times.
The margin for error is so slim at Bristol. You take grip anywhere you can find it. Look at Sawalich dipping that left front tire below the yellow line.
So there is definite grip down there, and it's because of the sticky stuff that they lay down, and it doesn't get used as much. So you can put your left front down there, but what happens is that little movement that's sudden to the right of the wheel, that's where you de-wedge the car by putting it on that different surface down at the bottom in the black, and it just forces the right rear to not able to take that load, and it slides out from under you. But that's something that you'll use at times, especially in the race, if you're trying to just get a little bit more turn, to maybe turn under someone. You'll dip that left front down there and try to get the car to turn.
What's it feel like to be a rookie at this level? You saw the last 3 finishes in the bumper for Sawalich. It has been a struggle. 28 is Kyle Sieg. It's been fun to watch this team get out of balance on strategy a couple of times recently, where tires mean so much. It happened in Miami when they drove through, very competitive in a stage. We saw it last Saturday afternoon at Darlington. And while tires aren't going to mean as much likely today as they did in those races, there's no doubt, depending on when the cautions come this afternoon, you're going to see some drivers play some games on the strategy side. The 70, Thomas Annunziata.
This is a new team, the XFINITY Series, Cope Family Racing. You know, they only have a couple employees. I was speaking to the crew chief, Aiden McHugh, yesterday, and he was telling me all the efforts they go through to build these cars with just a handful of employees to get ready week to week. It's a massive undertaking, but they've had some good speed at times. We're watching Annunziata here down into turn 1. Going to use the high side and get a little high.
Intentional?
Yeah, that's a little higher than you want to be right now.
Tyler Tomasi has brought out the caution, driving the 66, hoping to make his first ever start in the Xfinity Series later today. Missed the show last Saturday at Martinsville.
Stay up there so we don't mess anybody up here. I got one more coming and then we'll go down.
Might be a mechanical issue here. We got the right front rubbed off. Potentially got in the wall, actually.
Wheels still straight.
I correct myself.
Definitely in the wall.
He missed it at Darlington, so it was last Saturday at Darlington, hoping to do better today. Caution out early. coverage begins. FS1, the place to catch it there. Let's hear from Dylan Welch. What's up, Dylan?
Hey guys, good morning. So we mentioned Corey Heim a little bit. You see him on track as we get back under green flag conditions here in this first group of practice. Heim had a little bit of an issue early in his practice session a few minutes ago. Take a listen on the radio.
All right, get off the radio. We got steering problems. It's sticking really bad in the middle of my steering, like motion. It's just sticking in the middle of it. I don't know what to do with it.
So that was before they went to second on the board. They did come in and add some power steering fluid and pop the hood just to make sure everything else was okay there. Everything all good there. They've been working on fine-tuning the balance now. Corey's latest report was just that basically felt like the second half of the corner, the back of the car was out of the racetrack. So they made a couple changes to try to help him feel a little bit more secure as well.
And Dylan, great report there in terms of what's going on with the 24, and that sort of power steering issue is pretty typical here at times because of just the severe loads that these race cars experience in this high 28-degree banking here at Bristol, condensed into a half-mile, 15-second lap times. That car is going through a tremendous amount of load. It puts a huge amount of stress. Oh, as Taylor Gray gets into Kyle Sieg.
It's never
That's a lot of stress as well. Yeah, that's an awkward place for it to happen. I think he just caught him way quicker than he thought he would. But yeah, that load it taxes every part of the race car, and the power steering is incredibly put through a lot of stress here. So adding some power steering, hopefully that gets better for them.
How do you say good morning to someone in Bristol on a Saturday during practice? Here it is. I had my coffee, and there's another good morning to you.
You know what that feels like in the car? It's where your head hits the end of your hand straps and then hits the back of your seat again. Definitely wakes you up.
You might notice in the bumper we added a little bit of time since we had a pause in the action. So 12 minutes to go for this opening group, just over halfway through. I look at Taylor Gray, and where he is on our leaderboard doesn't match up at all with the way they have performed in 2025. I think about the pole he was able to pick up at Miami, some of the top 10s. You go to our last short track race and just how impressive they were. I mean, you could, woulda, coulda, shoulda won, and that he should have got the victory and all of that stuff. But the reality is they have been performing at a high level, just had something go wrong on so many occasions. They have some ground to make up.
Ryan just went to P1 here, the 6.88, over a tenth faster than the pole from last year. So really flying around here for Taylor Gray. I think he has been maybe the surprise to me of the season with the speed that he's had each and every week. I know the Joe Gibbs racing cars are great. I'm not surprised at the short tracks. I saw that last year when he came and did some starts. Richmond, he was really impressive, got to race him around him a little bit. I felt like the mile and a half he had some work to do, but he definitely in the speed category has been a surprise to me. And I think, even without that win at Martinsville, I would not be surprised to see a win here early in the season and to build that confidence and to be able to do it multiple times, Dylan.
And as they continue to log laps here around the bottom, spoke with Jason Ratcliffe, the crew chief, a little bit ago, and he said, we're going to probably sit for the first few minutes of this practice session just to see what this traction compound does at the bottom of the racetrack. And we also want to be cognizant of not chasing our tail in this practice, because we think by the time the Xfinity cars run, the Cup cars practice later, and by the time we get to our race, we think the groove's going to migrate to the top side. So they're cognizant already of what the race conditions are going to be like.
I'm rooting for it. Let's just move that thing up, a little side by side. I'm here for it. Another caution. This for the 53, Mason Maggio.
I thought that said lit delivery, but it's LT delivery. Oh, that's good. Oh boy.
A little scuff on the right side of the 53. Mason Maggio, second time we've seen the caution here in this opening practice session of the weekend for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Group 2 to come. Well, it's tough to, you want to get in a rhythm, right? I mean, we talk so much about the rhythm of this racetrack. 25 minutes of practice doesn't provide you a huge opportunity anyway, but then you have two situations where the caution comes out and kind of puts you behind the 8 ball a little bit, I would guess, as a driver.
It does, but to also put in context how fast laps happen here. We've got some cars that are approaching 40 laps in this session with 2 breaks. You know, so it's like you do get a lot of laps, but it doesn't feel like a lot because it happens so fast. And to assess a change or a difference in a car, you need 8, 10, 15 laps because it's just, they happen so quickly and the tires go through such a change in those couple laps that you need laps to be able to really assess what's happening. Zilich and Sammy Smith obviously sharing a laugh. You know, they're talking about the same thing.
They probably are, yeah.
Hey, you need laps, man.
They're saying, I hope we don't have any cautions. We want to find our rhythm. Something tells me that's not what they're talking about.
I don't think so.
Going to have just over 6 minutes to go as we hit the track. Here's another thought. Two things I've noticed. One, just the slim margins, right? The separation from first to second, and you'll see it on back through the field in qualifying. If you're going to start up front, you have to deliver. Not a lot of margin for error. The other thing is Taylor Gray is quickest. He's been out there for 19 laps, or he's done 19 laps in practice. His fastest came at lap 15. So just the strength over the long haul and how this track will change. And sometimes you can continue to find speed as we put rubber down.
And this place is going to change a ton as that rubber lays down. We'll have this practice and qualifying, then you'll have cup practice and qualifying, and it'll get picked back up, and then it'll change again as we go on board here. Williams-Sawalich, I just want to point out a couple things. Listen to where he lifts now, halfway down the straightaway into 3. And you're going to do the same. You'll get back to the throttle as best you can in the center, now back to full throttle, and then you're going to lift once again now, right there at the choose cone. That's about just past the start-finish line and just past halfway. And that's the rhythm we talk about here, where you're just trying to get into this rhythm of your lift point, rolling speed to center, getting back to the throttle, and you'll do that continually, and you'll find little tiny moments where you might just get a little more speed like you did there, went up the track just a little bit. It's such a fine margin.
Popped a little more time for Group 1 because of that second caution. Do you get lost here, 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4, just because of the monotony of over and over, crank it left, find your entry point, crank it left? Does that get monotonous for you as a driver?
It doesn't, because there's such different corners in a lot of respects. It's just like Martinsville, where if you look at a map, they look identical, right? But they're completely different. 1 and 2 has a little bit of a longer corner. You sort of wrap the bottom more. You sort of fall in the banking differently. And then 3 and 4 is a tighter corner that you sort of don't quite wrap the same way. You diamond it a little more in its design and how you get off the corner. So it's just, they are different, and you feel that as we look at Josh Williams have a little moment into 1. Oh, yeah. That's where he tried to roll a little bit too much speed, didn't get the left sides down the yellow line, and therefore you're a little bit out of that sticky stuff and just lost the rear end.
When your front tires are pointed at the outside wall, that's a bad thing.
It's not good.
It wasn't bad when we raced on the dirt here.
It was great in the dirt. You had to do that sort of thing. I got a great story of learning that from a couple dirt guys. But they say you want to turn right to go fast. It's not quite the case here. You definitely need to rely on the right front and have comfort in the race car, because if it starts to get loose here, being concrete and how much the tires inflate in terms of pressure and bounce around, when it gets loose, it's really hard to hold on to.
P6, Ryan Ellis, spotter's dream here.
Tremendous paint scheme here. I'm going to just put this at the top of the list for this week.
This is kind of a home track for him. Bristol, Tennessee. He's from Virginia. So.
When Brennan Poole won the throwback award at Darlington, I think this just wins the paint scheme award.
Hey, I know you weren't with us last week, but I
was watching.
But we had some unbelievable throwbacks.
You did.
Everyone in the Xfinity Series absolutely delivered at a high level.
I thought the throwbacks were amazing. The commentary was subpar.
Yeah, absolutely. It was
other than that, it was tremendous viewing.
But it's only subpar because of how it matched up against the way they delivered with the paint scheme.
Exactly.
On a normal week, I think we would have been fine.
No,
it was just that the paint schemes were so good last week, it pushed us down enough.
It really just raised the bar to a level you guys couldn't quite get to.
Great on a curve.
I think today,
great on a curve for us. Help us out when you're not here.
I think today we can get to that level. I feel confident.
If McMurray's watching, he's got a lot on you already, I'm sure, you know? And we're going to Rockingham next week, and
Yes.
Murray was pretty good there.
He was really good.
We're going to have to hear those stories all week long. What's up, Kim?
Let's talk about Kyle Sieg right now. Very happy with the race car. Said it's good on entry, good in the middle. It turns well, maybe just a little bit free through the center of the corner. But I want to go back to that little good morning tap we saw from Taylor Gray to the bumper of Kyle Sieg. Any other racetrack, you're going to see right here, any other racetrack, immediately after that contact, you would hear a driver say, what was that, or kind of explain himself. We did not see that in the laps after that hello tap from Taylor Gray from Kyle Sieg. In fact, didn't even get a response to that tap until we went under caution. And what jumps out at me is you hear drivers talk about Bristol, the focus it takes, how a lot of times they even catch themselves holding their breath. They have to remember to breathe. There isn't even really time to say what happened or explain things. So once we went under caution, Kyle did say, I thought I had given Taylor room. He kind of apologized a little bit. The team said, you're all good. It just, I think it was unexpected on Taylor's part. And so just a reminder of how intense the laps here are at Bristol.
It's a great point, Kim. And what happened there was Kyle was trying to give him the inside. Taylor didn't quite see that and react to it quick enough. And that we talked about and showed you earlier how early you lift on the straightaway. You know, that means the corner starts further back. And so I think Taylor was just expecting Kyle to drive into the corner more typical. And Kyle was trying to let him go to the bottom there and get by. But to your point, Kim, it is, you know, it's hard to talk on the radio. You're doing so much in that car. And one of the things that I think is fascinating about this place is you go into a long run, you'll actually get from the shaking and where the tires inflate so much, your hands will almost start to get some of that, like if you're holding on to something, one of those, I can't remember what they're called, but those amusement park things where you try to hold on to the deal that shakes. That's what it feels like, and you'll lose sensation in your hands. You got to try to get some blood flow back to your hands. So it's a really physical place. Your head rattles around so much. I made the joke that I felt like I was a little cloudy this morning, but there's no doubt. You get beat up at this place.
Saw Corey Heim on track. Double duty for him. Trucks last night. Finished top 3. Third here in practice. 07, Alex LeBay, the Canadian racing in the Xfinity Series for the second time in 2025. Only start so far this season, coming at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, where he had a top 15 finish.
One of those drivers to always keep an eye on and extracting more performance from a situation than you would think from looking in the outside. Just always finds a way to be sitting there. Maybe a car is further back in points, suddenly in the top 20, maybe the top 15 at a road course. Definitely a threat for a top 10 no matter what he's in. Always impressed when I see Alex LeBay behind the wheel of a race car in the Xfinity Series.
Talented race car driver, no doubt. Mainly on road courses, but anywhere we go, as you said, sometimes they'll find their way. And he is someone that always gets more out of it than what you would anticipate. Blaine Perkins 10th on the board right now, 40 laps so far for the 31 in practice.
Johnny Fly, the sunglass manufacturer on there. That's cool. Those guys are local out of the Charlotte area.
You don't need the sunglasses right now in Bristol, Tennessee, but this afternoon you will. Mentioned off the top, cool morning. Started in the 40s, going to go up in the mid-50s, and the clouds expected to break up. Should be a great evening for racing. Part 2 of a NASCAR triple header weekend. Trucks doing it last night. And today it's all about the Xfinity Series Cup cars tomorrow.
Taylor Gray's going to get close to completing 50 laps in this practice session that we've seen get extended continually from some of the cautions that have happened. It's a lot of laps as he quits just before that. 47 for him.
That's a nice number.
It's a good number.
The 54, actually. That would have.
Wow, that would have been perfect.
If we didn't have the stoppages, maybe he would have hit the mark.
What were they doing? You know, what were they thinking? They had that chance.
So 2 breaks, we extend some time, but we have come to the close of practice number 1. Group 1 is done. Taylor Gray leads the way. Sawalich up there with Heim, Retzlaff, and Nunziata. 2-time Bristol winner, reigning champ Justin Allgaier on Let's send it to Kim.
Yeah, you saw Taylor Gray at the top of the board for that Group 1 practice, and there were people paying attention, specifically Jesse Love's spotter, Brandon Benesh. Here's the feedback he gave his driver as he is part of Group 2's practice session.
I've got my heated hand warmer deal. I'm good to go. Big difference from last week, though. I'll tell you that. For the 54 today, 1 and 2. He's keeping his left side just above the dark V8 delay, so about 4 feet off the bottom, about 3/4 apex, and it does work for him. He's possibly pass people later. 3 and 4 is just normal bottom line.
So some really good information from Benesh. In addition to a little weather report, it is still very cold down here, guys, and up in the spotter stand.
It's interesting we talk about the weather, and Kim, we compare it to last week, because when we went green last week in Darlington, it was the 3rd warmest April 5th ever in Darlington, South Carolina. No heat warnings out today in Bristol, Tennessee. It is cool, and especially if you're on the spotter stand. Where last night, and Parker, I think it was your radio, where someone said it was actually snowing on the spotter stand.
That was my spotter, Earl Barbin. There was like you saw little drops on the windshield the whole time, but it wasn't raining. And then finally he was like, hey, it's snowing up here. So that gives you an idea of how cold it was. We've seen snow here before.
Yes, we have.
Snowball fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, it wasn't just snow. We had snowballs. So there was enough that you could participate. You look at Justin Allgaier, and he just reigns success when it comes to Bristol, Tennessee. Let's go to his last win. He's won here twice. Happened September 2023.
Yeah, he's just so impressive on these concrete racetracks, and for whatever reason has taken this place really well throughout his career. First win there.
How awesome is that?
That's cool with his dad.
Dale Jr.
Dale Jr. with him. That's awesome. I mean, it's an amazing feeling. But yeah, he's always just been so good here. And I just think that this place fits Justin Allgaier's style in so many respects. The long runs you have, the need to be disciplined at times of running the bottom and wrapping the bottom, all those things just fall into Justin Allgaier's hands.
You know, he has led the most laps here in 5 of the last 6 races. And the only reason it's not 6 in a row, really, and I'm, this is not totally true, but he was dominating that race last fall and then got caught up with a lap vehicle. So he could very well have 6 in a row, maybe another win. Hey, look at the bumper, and 2 things I want to point out here. If your name is highlighted or the number next to your name highlighted in orange, that means you're in Group 2. If you're highlighted in green, that means you're going for the green later today. Dash for Cash eligible. Among those on the board, Sheldon Creed.
Could be Sheldon's day. We always say it. This is a good place for him as well. And he has that opportunity to dash for cash, $100,000. That would be nice. Imagine you get your first win and an extra 100K. That'd be a big day.
Your first win at Bristol?
Oh.
Not that you wouldn't take a first win anywhere.
Yeah.
But this one here would be nice.
This one means a lot to so many in the sport. And for drivers, this is a place that you just feel like if you're able to win here, you've done something big in NASCAR, because it's such a difficult place. It requires you to be good in so many different scenarios and to really just do a lot of things in that race car that are really tough to do. Gets that little moment into one. We've seen this a couple times, just trying to find the limit and how much speed you can throw into the center of the corner. Now catches his teammate right there. And Kyle Larson is in this race, by the way.
And he's pretty good here. Won Xfinity win. In fact, won in his last start here 7 years ago, I think it was 2018.
Raced with him a little bit last night in the truck race.
74, P3 in the group right now, 4th overall.
Second last night in the truck race after a speeding penalty. Was hoping to get the weekend sweep, and that's what Kyle Busch did here 2010, 2017. Unfortunately, didn't get the win last night, but no doubt going to be a major threat today. Last time he ran the 17 Xfinity car Miami when he had an unbelievable day, and a late caution, late restart cost him a chance at victory.
So that's why he was back with me in the truck race. I got it. All right. It was a speeding penalty. That makes more sense. Thank you. I was wondering that thing the whole time.
It built your confidence when
I was like, why is he here
right?
with me? This makes no sense. That guy's way better.
Sanchez now fastest overall. Obviously the best here in Group 2. 3 drivers in Group 2, top 5 overall. Allgaier is 3rd, Larson 4th right now. There's Sanchez in the 48.
That's a really impressive lap, too. Lap 11 is when he put that lap down. That's really good, following Justin Allgaier there. And that's a major confidence boost. You can throw down a fast lap, practice at Bristol. It just it's when you know the race car is working and you're in the groove, you're in the rhythm. It's really rapid. Oh, it gets a little loose there. So definitely on the looser side, but that maybe is where some of the speed's coming from.
So he turned his fastest lap at lap 11. Allgaier at lap 13. Larson lap 12. Just keep building to success on the short track in East Tennessee. 6 of the top 10 in Group 2, the fastest of the bunch. Nick Sanchez, 20 minutes to go in the practice session. Well, I just need to be out there with my shopping cart.
I like that.
By the way, I'm a little tight right now.
Okay.
I think all shopping carts are, actually.
They're-
At least the one I pick. It always
Except
pulls
when they
one
have
way
the
or
four,
other.
all 4 wheels can move in different directions. Those get a little loose sometimes.
But I will tell you, I never pull a Taylor Gray. I am always courteous to my fellow shoppers.
Oh,
So, I'm just referencing what happened in practice.
I know. That was good. You brought it all back.
He's much
why you're a
younger.
pro.
He's much younger and stronger than me. I don't want to be on the other side of Taylor Gray. I
want to see
promise.
that fight.
Here's Austin Hill, another one of our Dash for Cash drivers.
Currently back 17th right
Yeah.
now. Yeah. It was looking a little sideways there on the break. We saw some shots of him just getting a little loose on entry. I say this often, but I will remind you that he will be one of the most aggressive in trying to use the tools inside that race car to make it do what he wants. He's really aggressive using brake bias and going many, many rounds to the front or the back, trying to manipulate that race car. It's what makes him good at times. It also makes it sort of tough for the team to keep up with what he's trying to do inside that race car at times. So I wouldn't be too afraid right now, though, in 17th. It's kind of dependent where you are, what traffic you catch when you're doing your fastest lap around here in practice, that sort of thing. So we'll see if they are better on the long run.
I feel like we're talking about all the players from Martinsville. I referenced Taylor Gray. We show you the 21 of Austin Hill, who won our last short track race. And here's the 8 of Sammy Smith, who was right in the middle of all that. Let's relive what happened 2 weeks ago. First short track race of the year. Get that late restart. Boy, it just kind of came apart at the seams, didn't it?
Did we have to relive it? Actually NASCAR saddled the drivers down last week after that and had a meeting saying, you know, that a lot of that was too far. And I think, you know, just the sentiment in the series hanging out in the garage yesterday was really that everyone agreed that was probably too much, that race, in terms of drivers just being overzealous and over retaliation and being too aggressive. And I think it was probably a good moment for NASCAR to sit everyone down and say, hey, look, that's not what we want to be the Xfinity Series. A lot of cars tore up, tons, you know, millions of dollars worth of damage that just didn't need to be inflicted on the series.
Larson painting the line here, off the corner, and stays low, right behind Justin Bonsignor in the 19 this weekend for Joe Gibbs Racing.
I was talking to Justin yesterday, and you know, he'd only run a modified around here, which is basically flat out around this place with those big tires. And I was like, so what do you think about this? He's like, well, I got in the sim. He went down this week to do that. And he was like, yep, I started lifting halfway down the straightaway. And I thought, well, I'm not moving it. And they're like, hey, that's a pretty good lap. So it's a big adjustment for him, but really impressive what the starts he's had, the speed he's had in this 19 car. And he's such a cool dude. I mean, operates a company up in Long Island, a fiber company, races full-time, the modifieds, now living the dream, getting to do a couple starts in the Xfinity Series. I just think it's a super cool story. Larson tried to use the high line. That did not work.
He went, well, I thought it was going to work, and then maybe just a little bit across the line, a big moment for the 17. He hangs on and falls in line behind Justin Allgaier. Here's what I love, though, about Larson. He's going to go find speed, right?
He will.
I mean, I don't know anything about that, but if you want someone to experiment and figure it out, he can go do it. The 17 car has been great this year. Second place last week with Chase Elliott behind the wheel at Darlington, and he was second too. Brandon Jones, awesome win for Brandon, who snapped a 98 race winless streak.
Huge, absolutely huge for him to win last week, to beat some Cup drivers in doing so, and just really took hold of this race and didn't relinquish it there towards the end. And I mean, this is classic Brandon Jones. When the opportunity strikes at a really tough racetrack, he just finds a way to get the win. And you know, it's been a tough couple of years, and I know he'd been pretty beat up, and you know, a lot of talk about there in terms of when the performance should come back. But going back to Joe Gibbs Racing, not surprised to see him back in victory lane. And I think that could be fearful for the rest of the series.
We said it last week on the broadcast. Popular win in the garage. Really happy for Brandon Jones. Sanchez leading the way halfway through Group 2 practice. You anticipate, talk a lot about in the race today. 00 Sheldon Creed, the 1. Rookie Carson Quapple I almost said Travis. Carson Quapple in the one, making his Xfinity debut here at Bristol. Did have a truck start here a couple of years ago.
And probably is going to quit right as we go on and talk about him.
That's a producer's nightmare.
Yeah.
Let's come back, do the one, and then he drives it back down the pit lane.
But an easy car to spot there with that bright orange. Love that paint scheme.
He's been on a great climb recently when you talk about a playoff leaderboard, and so is Harrison Burton. Nice jump last week at Darlington, scored the third most points, did this 25 team. They jumped back above the cut line, won a stage, their second stage win of the year. The only Ford team to win a stage in 2025. Give it to AM Racing and Harrison Burton. And right now in practice, he finds himself down just outside the top 50. Nope, jumped up to 12. There's Jeff Burton, who's won here.
He's watching intensely, trying to see how things are going. What I love about what this race team has done the first portion of the season, and you mentioned what they did last week in terms of scoring so many points, they've done that a couple times. We saw Dakota, Darlington, and that has propelled them to a place where, for a race team that hasn't won a race, to go after points like that is so smart, because it can really put you in a great position, obviously, to then give you some leeway to take more risk. And I talked to Harrison about this, and he said, you know, we've really been trying to hit base hits right now as we build this race team, and it sort of put them in a really great position points-wise as we get further in the season. If they can keep this up, they get that opportunity to take more risk eventually and to try and go for some of those wins. And so I just think they're in a really good spot. And Danny Eflin, the crew chief's doing a great job. So it's really cool to see that team and what they've been able to do.
Brennan Poole, 44, 22nd on the board right now, Kim.
Yeah, it's been a great season for Brennan so far. If we look at kind of his performance versus where he qualified in the last 7 races, finished better than he started, including that 4th place finish in Martinsville, which earned him a place in the Dash for Cash race this weekend. He'll be going for that $100,000 bonus. And he told me even bigger than the monetary prize, the recognition and the attention on him and this team goes a long way for a smaller team like his. Right now, though, that car, he said it's loose in, and then in the center wants to get just a little bit numb on the front end, so no front grip as he makes it through the center of the corner. They'll look for adjustments.
Look at the right side of the bumper, and 3 of our 4 Dash for Cash drivers anywhere from 18th to 22nd in practice. And what Kim said about Poole, he started 29th when he finished top 5 at Martinsville and became Dash for Cash eligible. So we know when the green flag goes in the air, he'll be a player. So will this guy, Sam Mayer, in the 41 for the Haas Factory team.
Hung out with him a little bit yesterday and just talked about their season. And, you know, he was obviously happy with some of the things they've been able to do this season, but also was shocked a little bit about some of the lack of speed they've had at times. This was a win back in the Truck Series. Let's go 2020.
How about babyface Sam Mayer, who won here at the ripe age of 17?
I think I was in this race, and when I saw who won, I said, who? I was like, wait, who's that guy?
If I remember right, it was a sweep for Mayer, who won ARCA.
Yes.
Came back, won trucks.
Yep. But we knew, little did we know, sort of a stalwart he'd become in the top 3 series, and definitely could be a threat here today.
Here's a sleeper today, 7th in practice, Ryan Sieg, who's finished top 10 last 3 trips to Bristol, and another team that's been great early in the season. You know, they haven't done as good a job at taking advantage really at the drafting tracks, is where I think maybe they haven't gotten the finishes you would hope they would get, because that's a place where they kind of butter their bread. But across the board, to be more than 20 points above the cut line, and when you think about the diversity of the schedule early on, they're in a good spot to really attack, especially with some of the mile-and-a-halfs coming up where we know they're really good.
And 2 of the things I think with this race team that really stuck out to me is it was a tougher start, and then they had that issue at Phoenix post-qualifying, gets the front end ripped off in the garage. They go to a backup car, goes and finishes top 5. It was an incredible run by them. And since that moment, it's sort of given a spark to this race team. And I think the other thing is them moving this race team to North Carolina, Ryan being in the sim more this year. They're putting everything they have into this season, and you're starting to see some of the results and where they are in the points.
The collaboration among the 4 teams. We talk about Mayer and Creed, but what Harrison Burton's doing and what Sieg is doing, it's been fun to watch. Boy, it's a great place. East Tennessee and Bristol, a fun little town. We're back in a moment.
Well, I went rogue, by the way, speaking of our producers. And I went on the internet.
They're used to it, by the way.
Adam. And I know, they basically are. They were not surprised by this. And one of the questions, I was on NASCAR Reddit. They do a live discussion as we do these practice shows. And one of the questions they had is about run the top as we watch Sheldon Creed and Jeb Burton try to go to the top. And how does it sort of come in and why does it suddenly start to work because Sheldon Creed is super loose? It's a combination of factors. The bottom there with the sticky stuff has to sort of heat up to a point and lay enough rubber that you feel like you want to get away from that rubber, so you start to search for newer racetrack. And then when you run the top here, you see how the black sort of goes up to the middle towards the wall. You don't want to jump that black there where the rubber is. That's sort of jumping the cushion. It's super smooth up there, but as the race goes on, as we run, you'll get closer and closer to that wall as Sheldon Creed is absolutely sideways in front of Jeb. And I feel like for Jeb, he's sort of being a little conserved right now in practice because you can get yourself in big trouble here as we watch a bigger moment. Oh, real sideways. So he did that one time. Oh, anytime you have to burp the throttle like that on the exit, you're hanging on. So
It'll get your attention.
It will every single time. But as we see that top groove come in, it's one of those things where you try to time it correctly, and we know Larson's one of the best because he's probably one of the most dynamic in terms of changing his line quickly. It's really easy to get forced into sort of a rhythm here of driving the same line lap after lap and not trying to move around, and that's what Larson does so well, is that he just very quickly registers what the situation is on a bottom or a top lane and then changes, and he can do it so quickly compared to others, and it's a really incredible skill of his.
Larson fourth on the board. 72 laps run for the Cup veteran.
04.
Our producer wanted to
All
take
clear
a
down
ride.
there.
And sure enough, Larson listened
death
and
right
got
there.
right off track.
As soon as you do it, we're good.
Sorry, Caleb.
Minute to go in practice, so the 17 likely done. Could be a threat for the pole. 73 laps, quickest a bunch. Came in lap 22. Mayer, Austin Hill getting every last drop of practice with a minute to go.
Sort of looking at some of the best 5, 10, and 15 lap averages, and you've got Allgaier, Sanchez, and Larson 1, 2, 3 in basically all of those categories right now.
I'll say this though, the one thing that compromises long run speed is track position. And we're gonna, and not always, right? But we're gonna have a lot of games being played today where teams, depending on how the cautions fall, chase those stage points. There will be some give and take. I go to last fall when Jeremy Clements won a stage. I mean, you're gonna see some things that maybe don't always match up with what you would anticipate coming in when it comes to those stage results. And it's all about how you play the strategy game. When do the cautions fall? How do you manage your day? And we talked earlier, one of the best of the bunch at managing it, Danny Eplin, is on the pit box for Harrison Burton, who's 13th in practice.
Very similar to Martinsville, we will see cars try and flip the stages, which forces some of the leaders back into traffic, and taking care of that race car today will be so important throughout the day.
Practice 2 is done. 7 of our top 10 coming in this 25-minute session.
little bit more than I thought it was going to. So I just think the track's changing a lot, and it's going to continue to change all day. So, my thought process was I feel like, we're in the hunt. We got a really good piece. Your usual suspects like, JGR and JRM are really fast. So I got a little bit of work to do to get to them, I think. But honestly, I feel pretty happy with it. I feel like I know what I need here to run good in the race, and I feel really confident with it. So maybe could have used practice a little bit to dial the top in, but it was super dirty up there. But yeah, overall, I feel really happy with it. I think we're as good as Xfinity Mobile, and we just got to go qualify good. It's going to be really easy to get 2 free and kind of throw away both our laps. So got to stay disciplined on the line all day and move up when it's time.
Jesse Love had a top 5 finish here last year. Big weekend for him. He's making his NASCAR Cup Series debut. Coming up, though, Xfinity Series qualifying at Bristol.
Back at Bristol, getting ready to qualify with the NASCAR Xfinity Series here on the CW. Kyle Larson is back in the Hendrick Motorsports number 17 this weekend, ended up 4th in practice. A lot of laps. It's obviously cold out here. What did you learn about kind of where the limit is, both with the traction compound at the bottom and then even further up the racetrack as well?
Yeah, my car feels good. The PJ1 around the bottom, it doesn't feel like super grippy to me. So, but yeah, I mean, the groove moved up finally there at the end, so it's good to get some laps up top. My balance feels good, really good up there, and pretty good around the bottom too. So I'm happy overall with everything, and hopefully we'll get qualified well here soon and keep it up front all night long.
All right, he ran 73 laps, which was second most of anybody else. So as good as he is here, Adam, there's always things you can learn.
Thank you, Dylan. And Larson's 17 car and the Chevys from Junior Motorsports running stickers this weekend on their machine, honoring the life of John Edwards, longtime PR man for Jeff Gordon. Started with Jeff way back in the early days, most recently working with Kyle. And in addition to his work doing PR for drivers, just a tremendous leader at Hendrick Motorsports. He passed away this week, sadly. John is someone that always had the tremendous balance of being a professional, but also being your friend. He could get the work done, but also make you laugh. Someone that was just an outstanding presence in the garage. And we're sad to see him go. Our thoughts and prayers to his friends, family, and everyone at Hendrick Motorsports. Rest in peace, John Edwards. It's that vast knowledge.
It's the knowledge, and it's how he keeps it all to himself. He makes you so confused you don't know what to use.
Quick update on qualifying numbers. We had 39 cars here. 39 cars made a run in practice. Only 38 are going to qualify. And Tyler Tomasi is the one that is not going to qualify. He's the least in the worst position on points, and so therefore he will not race today. So the 38 cars you watch qualify will all make the show. First of those, 24 Corey Heim, top 5 in practice.
This is a tough lap because going out so early, all that rubber's been laid on the track. As we see this session go on, we'll see that rubber get picked up a little bit. The speed should improve slightly. Remember, you get 2 laps here at Bristol being a short track. I expect to see the second lap be the fastest majority of the field. That's just historically how it works, just with getting in the rhythm, that sort of thing. If you can do it in the first lap, that'd be very impressive.
First lap, 15:48 for Heim. So he lays it down, and now everyone's got something to chase.
And as I say that, he goes slower on the second.
I know. There
Well,
you go. Perfect.
Way to
right?
make me look smart, Corey. Thank you.
Chris Wright out in the 5. He's had some tough times in 2025 running full-time for our motorsports, but last time we went short track racing, he had his best career finish. In fact, if you go to Martinsville, 13 drivers, and this takes away from what we did, you have to factor out Darlington last week, but at that time there were 13 drivers that either matched or ran their best in 2025 in that short track event in Martinsville, Virginia.
Sometimes it's just about surviving at these short tracks.
Right.
If you can do that in the Xfinity Series, you're almost guaranteed a decent finish, especially when you have a race like we had at Martinsville. And this place is very similar. If you can just survive, stay within, even if you go a lap down, your night is not over. Things can happen quickly, turn around quickly. Oh, he gets real sideways off of turn 2.
Wright runs a time of 15:86. He was quickest on lap 2. Let's go to Kim.
And Justin Bonsignor back in the 19 JGR car. This is a place that you got a lot of experience, though, on the mod side. Your first Xfinity Series start here. Does familiarity with the track help at all this weekend?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt for sure. Just, understand what the track might do throughout the day, and just having that experience to lean on will be important, but a little different. We come here to run a modified around low 14s flat out in qualifying mode, so it's going to be a little bit different there. But I just want to thank KBM Commercial Properties and Highway Self-Storage for coming on board, 2 local Bristol companies, and really appreciative of them, and just hoping to have a good day. We've had speed each and every time, but we haven't kept ourselves in position, whether getting caught up in wrecks or driver mistakes. So just want to have a good solid day today, and I think we got a good car, and just gotta be smart behind the driver's seat.
Good luck.
Thank you.
These Xfinity Series cars much heavier and much slower than the mods he's used to running here.
Yeah, but I go back to what you said during practice and just how impressive he's been. Going to all these types of tracks he'd never been to before. Raced at Daytona, also was with us in Miami. Thomas Annunziata had an impressive run in practice, 15:98 for him, third of 3 cars that have been on track. And I'll remind you again, Tomasi did not make a qualifying run. He's not going to qualify, and he will not race today. We already know that based on how the points are structured, regardless of what happens in the qualifying session. 35, Greg Van Alst.
Somewhat you're doing in these laps here is you're trying to assess the race car as quickly as possible. You kind of get this half warm-up lap, and then it clicks off your 2 laps. And the car is going to change a tremendous amount just from that warm-up lap to the first lap. Corey Heim was able to do it in 1 lap. And for some, it will be the second lap. Maybe because you heard Jesse Love talk about this in his interview before. You don't want to get loose off of 4 on your first lap, and that hurts the second lap. So you're trying to connect the 2 and make sure you just give yourself the best chance to have the fastest lap. But it's definitely a rhythm-based place that I find is easy. It just having 2 laps can allow you to just get a little bit more on that second lap, especially if you are maybe just a tick conservative on the first lap.
I go back to what we said earlier, though. Second lap is quickest for Van Alst, 16:15 for him, 16:155. He's 4th. Even though you get 2 laps, the margin for error here. I mean, just one little hiccup, and we'll really see this later when some of the top drivers go that are going to be a threat for the pole, and not taking anything away from Corey Heim, who was very fast in practice, but you will really start to see just how much one little mistake is magnified at this place.
Well, it's 32 seconds in total time, right?
Right, yeah.
And when I talk about making all these adjustments and the things you'll do from lap 1 to lap 2 or from the warm-up lap to the first lap, I mean, it's in fractions of a second. It's minute, tiny little changes, amount of brake pressure, throttle application point, how much wheel you put in the center, where you place the left front, and all that's happening in 32 seconds.
Talk about the role Martinsville played in opening the door for success for many drivers. Best finish of the year for Garrett Smithley came 2 weeks ago at the Paperclip. Opening lap for him, 16.156. He is 5th with that opening lap.
Keep it to the bottom well.
Lap 2, quicker takes him to 4th on the board, just over 16 seconds. Let's hear from Brennan Poole, Dylan.
Yeah, you mentioned Martinsville being a good place for some guys. It was for Brennan Poole for sure a couple weeks ago, going after 100 grand later today with the Dash for Cash. Did you have what you needed or what you wanted from your car there in practice to have a shot at it later?
I think so. By the end, we were a lot better, but we just unloaded and we're hitting the racetrack a little bit. So made some adjustments, worked on some ride quality. The bumps into one have gotten a little bit worse over the last couple of years, but all in all, pretty good. It's kind of a tricky place, though, when they spray that stuff down in the bottom of the corners. It's like, I'm not totally sure exactly what I need, but I got to run some laps on the top. Felt pretty good, so, you know, all in all, ended a little free, and I feel good about it.
Thanks, Brennan.
Fresh off the NCAA tournament, this place has survived in advance, kind of from one portion of the race to another, kind of what Brennan referenced there. Josh Williams, 2nd on lap 1. Great effort in the 11. 15.75 on that first lap. Hopefully he can pick it up.
Checkered flag.
And he does just a little bit. 15.709 stays in the 2nd position.
Keep an eye on the Colleague cars. Always a good race track for them. Just over the last couple of years, no matter who was driving them, from AJ to Hemrick, Chandler Smith, they always seem to bring a lot of speed to Bristol and Colleague. So I expect to see some speed out of all 3 of those cars today.
William Sawalich needs a good run. 5th in practice earlier.
Definitely does. It's been a tough couple races for him. Just haven't gotten the results. Sometimes just had off days like at Homestead and Darlington. Doing a lot of learning. Let's take a ride here.
Second on lap 1, 15.53.
1 and 2, pretty strong both times. 3 and 4 bad on the first one.
A lot of green. Top of the board.
Turn 2.
William Sawalich, 15.46.
Great adjustment from lap 1. Lap 1, you got a little bit too much of the apron like we saw in practice. Adjusted that on lap 2 and was able to just get a little bit better lap, not touching that apron as much. A little tight off of 4 there for him, but definitely a great pickup from lap 1 and lap 2.
Talked during practice about Anthony Alfredo and how he delivered in qualifying here last fall. Started inside the top 5, finished 11th. Been a good track for him. 4 starts, 3 times he's finished in the top 15.
You see there, he went high in 3 and 4, coming to the green. That's a different strategy, trying to sort of get just a little extra speed, coming to the green on lap 1. Never felt like it works that great here just because you're going to end up having to wrap the bottom in qualifying, so it's sometimes just better to get a feel for your car on the bottom on that out lap.
Lap 1 puts him 4th, 15.85. Dude Wipes, the sponsor. Drivers might have been looking for the Dude Wipes, those moments they had in practice a while ago.
There might be a few in qualifying.
We can say that on the app. We have a few
true.
affiliates today as well. Lap 2 a little quicker, stays in the 4th position, 15.78 for Alfredo. The lap of record, Kim.
And somebody that you always need to watch at Bristol is Ryan Sieg. Finished top 10 in the last 3 here, but let's talk about qualifying. We talk about this race being physical. How is a lap under qualifying here? Are you holding your breath?
Yeah, no, for sure here it's demanding. You get here at, what, I don't know, 10:30, 11, and then go practice at noon, and you're going all out right away. And I was like, I just need to run 10 laps and come back in and catch my breath. But no, it's always fun to come here, and I love racing here, just trying to go all out and just trying to figure out if it's going to take rubber or not, and that was the biggest thing, and it kind of did, and we should have left our car alone, but we got a great SciAps board at the SciAps 300, and hopefully it'll be as fast as the XFINITY Mobile later this afternoon.
I don't know what would be worse, going out early and having to jump right in, or sitting around and watching everybody go and the anxiety building.
I like going a little later. You get an idea of what you got to do, what the track has. Oh, my goodness, Massey.
What did we say about Alfredo's sponsorship and what drivers might need?
He could use those right now.
Lap one
just had a moment.
Is going to be the best for Massey, 15:79, because lap 2 produced this. Hang on, 45.
Woo! That's staying committed to the throttle on exit as the car starts to release the back, and you're thinking, I can get this. I don't quite have it and get it gathered up, Dylan.
Harrison Burton and I were watching that with amusement there. It's easy to do. It seems like everybody has been sliding around today.
Yeah, I thought I was going to wreck in practice in 3 and 4, trying to get the top roll, and just a tricky racetrack, tricky conditions when it's this cold to get your tires hot and get temp. We were fired off practice just so loose, and then got our Dex Engine Core Mustang as fast as XFINITY Mobile towards the end. Like, at the end of practice, I feel like we had the pace we need to contend. We just have to figure out where we were on cycles versus pace, and like I told you, we'll find out the hard way where we stack up here in a few minutes.
Thanks, Harrison. Good luck.
That's a great point Harrison brings up with the cold temperatures. You know, in a qualifying lap like this, some of why we might see the second lap being just a bit faster is just getting tire temp, trying to get them up to temperature in this cold weather. When you go out there in the cold tires here at Bristol, they feel like they're rock hard sometimes, those tires, and they just bounce across the racetrack. You get that dreaded chatter sometimes from the front end or the rear, so it's definitely difficult to get them up to temp quickly.
Just heard from Ryan Sieg. Kyle Sieg is third. Second lap for him, the best, 15:59. Mason Maggio was scheduled next in qualifying. Had a problem in practice, hit the wall. They will not qualify. Will not make a qualifying run, but they will qualify for the race. So with the 53 not going on track, here's the 54. Taylor Gray, really good in practice earlier today.
He was doing the signature Denny Hamlin, trying to work in the tires slowly off of pit lane. Good 1 and 2.
Top of the board, 15:43. And now we look at the tracker, and he's tracking against himself.
This car looks really hooked up, just wrapping the bottom really well. You never see the car wiggle at all.
He ran the exact same time to the 1,000th of a second, lap 2, lap 1, identical.
I said it was hooked up.
That's
I just thought it
unbelievable.
meant hooked up would just continue going faster.
Well, I looked at
it was on a rail.
You know, we got a little cheat sheet here in our booth, and I look up and I see lap 1 was quicker, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy, because our tracker was like one right on top of the other, and literally they were on top of the other. 15:439, best lap of the day comes courtesy Taylor Gray. And he's in front of his teammate, William Sawalich, by 26 1,000ths of a second. We said the margins would be tight, and they are. Here's Blaine Perkins in the 31.
Be interested to see what Blaine's able to put down here. We're speaking to his crew chief, Cody McKenzie, this week about some of what they were learning in the sim and the way this place has changed over the last couple of years. When you had the PJ1 versus last year, they tried the resin and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of changes at this racetrack. They were trying to sort of decipher what to do here at Bristol. A little bit off right now.
6th on lap 1 for Perkins. Lap 2 a little quicker, but not enough to move him out of the 6th position. Dylan, what's up?
Nick Sanchez was fast in practice, good on single lap speed, good on the 5 and 10 lap averages too. So were you as happy with it as what it seemed like it was on the timesheets?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy, and yeah, the team's done a great job preparing for this race, showing up prepared to hit the track lap 1 and be fast. So the big machine Baca Light Cooler Chevrolet is as fast as XFINITY Mobile, so just go put a good lap down, make good adjustments in the race, and be up there all night, see what happens at the end.
Thanks, Nick. Good luck. By the way, a reminder, he's from Miami, and he said, my body does not like this cold temperature, but the race car does. So I guess that's the important thing, right?
It's always warm in the car.
How about that? I'm from Indiana, and cold weather doesn't match well with me. So
I'm from Connecticut, I don't like it. trust me.
Alex LeBay, 07. First lap puts him 13th, 16:23.
Gets pretty cold in Canada.
This is, I mean, he's probably walking around in a t-shirt, Alex LeBay. A little quicker lap 2. Moves him up to 12th. We are scooting right through the qualifying session. Already a couple cars that didn't go out because of their mishaps in practice, but 15 down, 24 to go. First of those, CJ McLaughlin driving the 91 this weekend for Mario Gosling. Partnership with DGM, Jesse Awuji.
Some of what you're seeing is, we've seen the first lap be faster for some, we've seen the second lap be faster for some, and so that gets a little confusing when you go to qualify into your laps thinking, wait a second, it's not a clear-cut decision of what's going to be the best lap. It means you kind of just have to go with what you feel on that out lap of what the car has, what its capability is, what is it telling you, and try to react that as quick as you can, because you're starting to see that it is possible to go fastest on your first lap.
CJ, the slowest of those that have taken time. 14th is where he slots in on the board. And that opening lap is going to be his quickest, Kim.
And the most recent winner in the Xfinity Series, Brandon Jones, looking to make it 2 weeks in a row with checkered flags. But as we look at this afternoon, a lot of questions on what the track is going to do. What's your expectation?
I'm glad I got that truck race in. I know I didn't get many laps in it with all the craziness that happened, but just to experience kind of maybe what the track was going to do. I think you're going to see some side-by-side racing today, honestly. I don't think that the bottom lane is going to be the best for the entire race. I think it's going to be early on in the day, but I think you are going to see that top and to high lane come in. But me and my crew chief, Sam McCauley, just working on trying to get this Menards Toyota Supers Fast XFINITY mobile and trying to make the right changes, because I think it's going to be constantly changing all day long. So just trying to predict that, trying to figure out what the right moves are going to be here. Hopefully you're going to get a good qualifying effort in and get a good lap in and try to keep some track position for this afternoon.
I love the fact that he's not just a driver that talks about his car, but he gives a little insight to what we might see in a race. A little side-by-side racing is what is predicted from our most recent winner.
He was doing our job.
Benedetto. How about that second lap?
That was a great pickup, and you could see it visually. You saw the first lap. It just looked a little sluggish through the center of the corners. He was missing the bottom a little bit, but really tidied it up on lap 2, wrapped the bottom really well in 1 and 2, and that paid off down the backstretch and into 3 and 4. Great lap.
Heard from Brandon Jones, high expectations there, because right now, top 3 in qualifying are all Toyotas. Let's go down to Dylan.
Well, you see the 16 of Christian Eckes. The car is up on jack stands right now. The lone car that's basically still left in their stall, kind of in the back half of the qualifying order. They actually broke the right rear track bar mount in practice, so they've been back here thrashing to get that rebuilt, basically, so they can get the car back on the ground and go out here for qualifying. You saw Christian just climb aboard, think they're going to make it. The team thinks they're going to be okay, but they are still hard at work back here just trying to get this thing patched up.
We talk about the stress these race cars go through. We talked with Corey Hyman, a little power steering issue to start practice, and then that break a track bar mount. I mean, that just gives you the idea of the loads that are going through these race cars. Teams will get pretty aggressive of what they'll do in the rear of these race cars and trying to get them to move around and have some movement to create some skew and that sort of thing in the suspension, and that puts a lot of stress on that track bar mount. But to break it in practice, that means it's good to catch it then and not in the race.
Ryan Ellis jumps from 14th to 11th. Lap 1 to lap 2.
It was a loco qualifying lap.
Is that what you're going to call it?
I was just going, I don't know.
Nice.
I was trying.
The 4 is Parker Retzlaff. You know what? They missed the show at COTA. Since that time, every race except for one, they've been in the top 20. So starting to get their legs back under them after some rough rides in the early portion of 2025. It was 12th in practice. So Retzlaff, some high expectations in qualifying.
And keep an eye on this guy. I talk about every time we go to a short track and qualifying, second on that lap.
And he missed
so
it
good
by 4 thousandths of a second. So if he can pick it up and the tracker indicates that he is, he's going to go to the top, and it's not just anybody in front of him. That's a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. How about this in qualifying? 15:41 P1 for the 4.
He's just so fun to watch at qualifying at a short track. I don't know what it is, but he's got a major knack for it, and it's just he extracts so much speed out of these race cars in a 1 or 2 lap session there. It's awesome to see. Great lap for Parker Retzlaff.
And his teammate is Brennan Poole, who, oh, by the way, today is racing for an additional $100,000. So Poole says, I just want to get up there somewhere close to my teammate, right? Right at the halfway point of qualifying, Jeremy Clements in the 51. 25 starts at Bristol for the veteran driver from South Carolina. Won a stage here last fall.
Actually drove by me to do that. We were out there on old tires.
I'm sorry.
He did a great job. No, he took it to me and got a big run or big lead at the end of that stage and was able to win the stage. Really impressive. He's always one that you just know if he just stays in the fight, he's a threat for a top 10 at short tracks like this.
Lap 1 puts him 6th. And stays in that 6th position.
You might think that's self-explanatory. You've gotten the checkered. Trust me, it happens quick. It's nice to have the reminder.
Well, I will tell you, and my brain is small, okay? I'm going to put an asterisk.
I wasn't going to say it. I'm glad you did.
Right. I mean, I think everyone knows by now. But just sitting here and watching, you know, over and over, you do get kind of sucked into where are we right now? I mentioned Brennan Poole, teammate, just quickest. Parker Retzlaff put down a 15:41. And Brennan going for the $100,000 in the dash for cash. First time he's been eligible since 2017 when he was driving for Chip Ganassi, and you could argue that was his best ever season in an Xfinity car.
Definitely in the results, but last year what he accomplished with this race team, being 16th in points, was so impressive. It's just extracting so much out of that equipment. And now to have this chance at a dash for cash, you know, this $100,000 is equivalent to winning the biggest race in prize money. And they only have to beat 3 other people to do it. It's a huge opportunity for Alpha Prime and Brennan Poole.
Lap 1 6th, he stays there after completing lap 2. I circled today because of the $100,000 for Brennan Poole. I circled 2 weeks from now, Talladega Super Speedway, really good in the draft. And Brennan Poole, until he wins there, is forever going to feel like that place owes him one, Kim.
And Carson Kvapil making his first Xfinity Series start at Bristol. You do have a Truck Series start here. Did you learn everything you needed to about the car in practice?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, this whole #1 group brought me a High Rock Vodka Chevrolet that's about as fast as Xfinity Mobile today, honestly. We had really good long-run pace, really good fire-off pace, and hopefully here in qualifying we can kind of put down a good lap and start up towards the front like we have been the last few weekends. But yeah, we tried out some stuff in practice, made some good changes to the car, and I was able to kind of learn a lot about the track and the Xfinity car and move up and down and kind of try to get a feel for it.
Carson's dad, Travis, a former winner at Bristol in the Truck Series.
Always good to tap in to your dad, especially when he's enjoyed success like Travis has at so many places. Toyota's good in qualifying. Got 3 up there inside the top 5. Justin Bonsignor goes out and runs 10th. Opening lap was quicker, 15:71. Mentioned earlier how good he's been here in modifieds, including that win in 2018.
And made a good decision there off of 4 coming to the checkered. Was getting pretty wide. Car was getting towards the wall and chose to quit that lap, basically. And discretion was a better part of valor. To have a clean car going to the race, that was a smart decision.
A veteran decision by a driver that has limited experience in an Xfinity car, but someone that obviously knows how to make good decisions when he's racing. We've already seen it a lot this year in limited opportunities. Here's another Toyota Rookie of the Year contender, Dean Thompson, who I think has been unbelievable to start the year. Just so many impressive moments for he and this race team at Sam Hunt, and his teammates up there in the top 5.
You know, I was talking to Sam Hunt about last week at Darlington and what Dean went through. It was a tougher race for him, and was thinking, you know, through the race, oh, well, we need to do better with the car. And they got done with the race and all that, and he turned to the team. He said, you know what, I think I just didn't realize how hard Darlington is in an Xfinity Series car. And you know what, guys, we got to go to work. Maybe it's on me figuring out some of the things I can do better at the track, not so much the car. Good lap there, though, for him.
Lap 2, 15:49, puts him 5th on the board. Solid pickup for the 26, Dylan.
Connor Zilic is making his first Xfinity Series start. I'm glad you opened that. I was waiting to see how you were going to do that with your gloves on. You were just standing here talking to Justin Allgaier. He's obviously pretty good around here. Your first Xfinity start here, what kind of tips does he have for you?
Yeah, I mean, this place is awesome. Bristol's such a cool track, and it's really fast right now. It's fast as Xfinity Mobile, I may say. But yeah, it's great to have Exalt on the car this weekend. Someone walked up to me and told me I look like Jeff Gordon, so if you look like Jeff Gordon, you're doing something right. So
your hair is a little lighter than his is.
Well, I'm trying, but really excited for today. It's such a cool track, and hopefully we'll be good in qualifying because I think it's going to be really important.
Thanks, Connor. Good luck.
Wait a minute. If you're going to be confused with Jeff Gordon, he needs a mustache right now at this stage of his life.
There would
right?
be a mullet as well right now.
And I can tell you, I don't know how tall Connor is, but if you put he and Jeff side by side, I'm going to say, like, nah, they're not really the same.
Had the gloves on, so did his teammate there, Justin Allgaier. I want to know who decided to do that. Was it Justin, the veteran, or Justin learning from the rookie there, Connor Zilic?
Daniel Dye goes from a 15:63 to a 15:56 on the second lap. He's sixth. That's how cold it is. When you're wearing your, it looks so weird to me seeing guys out there in their gloves with a radio on instead of their helmet.
No. They always do that in movies. They never do that correctly. Drivers don't usually walk around with their gloves on, trust me.
Oh, that's funny to me. But it speaks to how cold it is today in Bristol. Here's Jeb Burton. Top 15 in 5 of the first 8 races this year for the driver from Virginia. And currently finds himself above the playoff cut line. Lap 1, third, 15:44.
This one could be a little better. He got very loose there in 3 and 4. If he can tidy that up, get a better run off 4.
Yeah, the tracker is solid. I mean, it's not green, but this is going to be a good lap. Back to the start-finish line. And it's going to be lap 1. Just lost a little in 3 and 4.
It was a great shot of looking at his eyes. You see how far around the corner he's trying to look. You can't even see the X of the corner when you enter here at Bristol. It's so tight and tough to see around the banking. But you're going to look as far left through the corner of the windshield as you can, try and just get your eyesight as far out in front as possible.
From one Burton to another, here's Harrison. 4 victories in his career, all came in his rookie campaign 2020. 4 trips to Bristol, Tennessee in an Xfinity car, and Harrison's never finished outside the top 10.
He said this car started really loose when they fired off in practice. Doesn't look to be the case right here. You don't want to have a loose car in qualifying here. That will just simply not be fast.
8th on lap 1. Best Ford so far. Jumps right in front of Kyle Sieg.
This could be a big pickup on lap 2.
Yeah, he's tracking right there with his cousin. Maybe a little bit better. Back to the line. He is second, 15:42. 100th of a second behind the fast time of Parker Retzlaff. Harrison Burton with a great effort in qualifying.
Larger than a 10th pickup from lap 1 to lap 2. Great adjustment there. Bodes well for that race car, the changes they made from start of practice through practice.
Got a Chevy at the top, Ford in second, Toyota in third. The manufacturers all represented at the top. Here's another Chevy. Most recent winner on a short track, Austin Hill, one of our Dash for Cash drivers.
Didn't look super fast in practice, but I wouldn't read too much into that.
Tracker looks pretty strong right now.
Strong.
Hangs on to it pretty good. Lost a little in 3 and 4. Lap 1, good enough for 8th, 15:51.
Car definitely has a lot of movement on the entry of the corner there down into turn 1. Oh, and a lot into 3 and 4, got very loose. That's really going to hurt the lap time here. The car just looked very edgy on the entry of the corners. Something they'll want to work on, and I know this has been a tough place in qualifying for Austin Hill in the last couple years, so definitely not the lap maybe he was looking for.
Going to have some ground to make up, no doubt about it. And there's Parker Retzlaff, fastest so far. Got 2 career poles, 1 at Martinsville, 1 at Richmond. He's trying to hit the short track pole trifecta today and get one at Bristol. But he's got some very, very fast race cars coming. The first of those, Ryan Sieg. A Ford is currently second. His teammate Kyle Sieg up there in 10th. Here's the older brother from the Sieg family.
Said he was holding his breath the first 10 laps on track. You want to breathe through this qualifying. You only have to hold it for 30 seconds. I guess most people could do that. But you prefer to breathe.
And hold it for 30 seconds. That's both laps. That's not just one, which really puts into perspective what a lap is like here. Lap 1 puts him 10th.
Really good 1 and 2.
It was almost like lap 1 was to set up lap 2. Look at this, in the green, new leader in qualifying, Ryan Sieg, 1540. Great effort from the 39.
Really good pickup and just nailed 3 and 4. Was able to get back to the throttle early in 3 and 4, and the car was able to stick. Great run to the line.
Not cars remain.
Not going to get the trifecta.
Nah, that's okay though.
It's going to be a good lap though.
Yeah, really good starting position on the way, no doubt, for Parker Retzlaff. Nick Sanchez, fastest in practice earlier. Look at these numbers. Last 3 races, 8th in Miami, 32nd at Martinsville, 8th at Darlington. If you look at his stats for the year, every other race has been a top 10. Every other race has been 20th or worse. He is living what a rookie season is all about, but right now, really good qualifying effort coming.
You want to break that trend. Lost a little bit off 4 there. But if he has a similar pickup that we've seen from some others, he's really fast in 1 and 2 here. Tracker in the green.
It's going to be tight. Gain little ground, 3 and 4. Back to the line for Sanchez. The rookie jumps up to second, 1541. 9 thousandths of a second behind Ryan Sieg, who leads.
And it showed you how good Ryan Sieg got off of turn 4 there, because Sanchez was almost half a tenth up at one point there, but just couldn't commit back to the throttle as confidently as Ryan Sieg was able to do. Just started to lose it there coming to the line, but it's just a game of inches here, fractions of a second that make massive differences.
First of 10 to go, Sam Mayer. See his short track numbers. 1 win in short track competition in the Xfinity Series came last summer at Iowa. A Ford leads. Got 2 of them up there in the top 4. Mayer's got a good one going.
Really good first lap.
3rd on lap 1. Like the Fords across the board have just gotten better and better. This alliance that Haas Factory has created, they're spreading the love. Solid in qualifying today. 2nd lap takes him to 2nd. 1,000th of a second behind Ryan Sieg. You know, these drivers are making me feel better, because I said the margin was slim, it's going to be tight. It's been incredible.
I don't know if it can get any closer. Right here. We might need a 4th decimal.
And Ryan Sieg says it really wasn't even close. I'm all good.
All driver.
Here's Christian Eckes. Talked about the mechanical woes for them, able to get it on track in the 16. He's been a great qualifier here in truck competition. Led a lot of laps here last couple of years, including a win at Bristol in the Craftsman Truck Series.
This be tough, not getting a full practice session there with the breaking the track bar mount. Going to really have to use this first lap just to get an idea of what grip level is like, what this car can take right now, how that repair went.
And the issues reflected in the speed. 1572, lap 1 for Eckes puts him 20th.
And then you're just trying to see if you feel confident, can it take more in the 2nd lap? It does. Not a massive pickup, but a pickup nonetheless.
1560. We talk about the opportunities for strategy. Maybe if you don't have the track position you want, you get out of balance and put yourself in position. 14th right now for Eckes. As we check in on the 2 of Jesse Love. Talk about the fact he's doing double duty this weekend. Going to make his Cup debut here tomorrow, running the 33 for Richard Childress Racing.
And I don't care how well it goes or doesn't, when you get to make your Cup debut, it's such a confidence booster. When you jump back in the XFINITY car after driving the Cup Series in a Cup car, making it to the top, it's such a big moment in a young driver's career. It's what you've dreamed of your whole life, to have that opportunity, and it's reflecting right now in turn 1 and 2.
I'm going to say he may be confident when he gets in that Cup
super
car.
Sideways.
But he had some room to give, right? I mean, he gives it all back, so he goes from the green to the red. Lap 1 is 12. We'll see if he can regain his mojo. Lap 2, back to the green.
Still got it. He talked about how he didn't want to mess up coming to the white flag there on the exit of 4. Had that.
It's going to be a pretty good lap. It puts him 8th, but it's going to be what might have been for Jesse Love. Here it is.
Great recovery, but this is exactly what he said he did not want to do. Was so fast there and just overcooked the entry, got the rear out from under him on the entry, just couldn't get it to the bottom, and that hurts the exit off of Ford coming to the white flag, so it hurts the next lap, as you saw. A lot of speed in that race car, though.
Jesse Love had never seen this place prior to his first start here last year and finished 4th. High expectations for him today. Sheldon Creed in the 00, another driver going for the dash for cash later today. 2nd here last fall.
He's going to use this high line to try and get a run coming to the green flag.
Had a bit of an issue with our tracker there. And that's 26th for Creed, 1595.
Not what he was looking for. Could have possibly just, with how high he went, got some of the debris on the tires there.
Second lap's better, takes him up to 15th, but he's another driver that's going to be chasing it a little bit when we go green. So another Ford has gone, and a Ford stays at the top. Ryan Sieg starting to think about it now. Sammy Smith is up next. All 4 junior motorsports cars remain in qualifying, and we have to give them some love. They had 5 cars last week running at Darlington with Ross Chastain driving the 9. All 5 of those Chevys finished in the top 9. First time that's ever happened in the history of the Xfinity Series. Six to go, and all of them going to be fast. And the tracker being pretty friendly right now to Sammy Smith. Lost a little into turn 3.
Ryan Sieg there on the left, watching intently each and every one of these laps, thinking, can we pull it off?
Lap 1, 13th. A lot of green. Lap 2 for Sammy Smith. Top 10 finish in 8 of his last 9 races on short tracks. Look at this.
Oh.
Up to 4th.
And we've seen this continually. Some of these cars that are up half a tenth through 1 and 2 just try to carry that speed in the 3 and 4. It just can't quite hold. And same here for Sammy Smith. He lost all of that time from the exit of the middle of 3 and 4 to the start-finish line.
Look at our bumper. 17 thousandths of a second separates 1st to 5th, and 1,000th of a second separating Ryan Sieg, Sam Mayer in 2nd.
An absolute eternity, Adam.
Oh, yeah. Connor Zilic, undefeated here in qualifying. Won the pole last fall in an ARCA East race. Also won it first time he ever raced here in the Truck Series.
See a little rub on the left rear. It gives you an example of just the level of load these cars are going through. Great 1 and 2.
Look at that tracker. Oh my gosh, blistering lap for Connor Zilic. He leads the way, 15:27 for the 88.
Still going to run a second lap.
I
might have just called him in.
But who cares, right?
Checker, pit number 2.
Well, that ruined our tight top 5 right there, didn't it? Now we have to say that 2nd to 6th is really tight. Ryan's like, that's all right. I'll take starting in the first 3 or 4 rows. I'm okay with that.
Well, it wasn't close, so he knows it was a large margin.
He didn't leave anything on the table, right? He couldn't have done anything different that would have changed the result. Another rookie from Junior Motorsports, Carson Quapple.
Really high expectations for Carson this weekend. Just how good he's run at Dover. He loves these concrete racetracks. He told me this. He only run a truck race here, but he said, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's a great point. He said how much he loves this racetrack. And lap 1, puts him 2nd. Great effort there. Limited experience, but that concrete experience that he had at Dover has to infuse a lot of confidence in this rookie driver. Lap 2 a little quicker, but he stays 2nd behind his teammate, 15:30 to a 15:27.
Still a 10th faster than 3rd, basically.
Crazy.
Those 2 ARM cars in a different league.
Here's Kyle Larson. 3 cars remain in qualifying. Larson, Brandon Jones, Justin Allgaier. 17 car has 3 runner-up finishes this year. Bowman at Phoenix, Byron at Coda last week, Chase Elliott at Darlington. So far, so good. Lap 1, a lot of green. For a driver that's won 2 of the last 5 Cup races here, Larson, 15-19. Kind of like Zilich, I would just say pull it in. Why do you need to go a second
And he does.
lap? Yeah. Chevrolet hasn't won a pole at Bristol since April 2017. In fact, recent years here, this has been Joe Gibbs' playground in qualifying.
Good job there. You'll roll down to the end of them here. We're all the way at the end past the one.
Just to give you an idea of the grip level here compared to what we've been here in the summer race, we are 7/10 faster than the pole of last year right now.
The chill equals some speed, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here's Brandon Jones. Talked about Joe Gibbs Racing, their success here in qualifying. Jones just hoping to end the day like he did last week, and that would be in victory lane. And you see just how good they've been lately. Slow start in his return racing for the coach, but the last month been really good to driver 20.
Also a great qualifier, week in and week out.
Lap 1, 17th. Puts him 4th, 5th quick of the Toyotas so far. Best Toyotas right now in qualifying, Taylor Gray in 10th.
The car looks a little tight to me, just has a wide exit off of 2, same off of 4. Bit of a pickup, but not even in the top 10.
Lap 2 takes him to 13th, and our last car to go out in qualifying is going to be Justin Allgaier, our reigning champ, and he's chasing that guy, Kyle Larson. It's going to be an all Chevy front row, but who's it going to be up there? We know Larson and Zilich are there. Can Allgaier jump in front of him? Look at that. Last 5 finishes. 5th when he could have won at Phoenix. A pair of wins. And back-to-back on the podium at Martinsville and last week at Darlington.
He tried sort of a middle through 3 and 4 coming to the green.
Good lap 1, but he's in the red. Gonna have nothing for Larson on this first lap.
Got a little tight on the exit of 4 there. That might hurt this lap as well.
4th on lap 1, 15:36. Don't believe he's going to get there on lap 2. Going to have a great starting spot, though. Justin Allgaier stays in that 4th position. Pole position goes to Kyle Larson. It's his 8th career pole, and his last pole came last year at Circuit of the Americas when he was able to pull into victory lane. Let's hear from him, Kim.
Yeah, he'll lead the field to green later this afternoon. Got a fist bump from Connor Zilich. Did the lap you put down feel like a pole-winning lap?
It was smooth the first lap, so it's either going to be good or not good. So, yeah, that's why I got loose my second lap. The first lap felt so smooth that I was like, well, I must be slow. So I pushed a little bit more, and then he said we had the pole down the back, so I kind of just bailed from there. But, yeah, awesome pole run there for the HendrickCars.com Chevy. Thanks to Adam All, their whole team. Rick, Hendrick, Hendrick Automotive Group, everybody there, Hendrick Engine Shop too. So, yeah, good start. My car felt good in race trim too. So if we can keep it up front and be on top of the lanes changing and do good job in traffic.
This will be part of a triple duty weekend for you. You ran the truck race last night. I know conditions will be a little bit different, but did it give you any indication of what the track is going to do today?
I don't know. I thought watching Group A and Xfinity, they weren't really like laying a bunch of rubber down. So I was like, maybe for the Cup car, it's going to be kind of like it was in the spring. But then when Group B went out, we were able to kind of move around, and the track really rubbered in. So I don't know if we'll pick all that up here in practice or not, but yeah, we'll see. So it's just the Cup cars are so different, tires, cars, everything. So it's hard to get a good read. But either way, I think our car will be fast in the Cup Series as well as Xfinity. So yeah, looking for the rest of the day.
Kyle Larson wins the pole here. Dylan, this team's still looking for their first win of the season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
And Kim, Chevrolet's up front. Connor Zilich qualified second. Carson Kvapil ends up third. We'll start with Connor. So you just were joking, said got beat by Kyle Larson. Hard to be too upset about that, but did you feel like you got everything out of your race car on that lap?
I wish I could say yes, but honestly, I don't think so. You know, I feel like we had an Exalta Chevrolet that was good enough for the pole, but the driver didn't quite do a good enough job. But regardless, all the JRM cars are as fast as Xfinity Mobile, and I know we got a really good shot in the race. And starting up front today, I think, is really crucial. So glad that qualifying's over with. I was pretty nervous about that one, but qualifying at this place is always really cool.
It is. It's a lot of fun. Connor will start second. Carson Quapple qualifies third. So Parker and the guys in the booth were talking about just your confidence at these concrete type tracks. You run well at Dover, run well here. What are you looking forward to most about this weekend? And starting up front obviously doesn't hurt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody loves racing Bristol. This is one of the ones that we all come to, and we're all super excited. At least I am. So first Xfinity race for me here, but this whole number one High Rock Chevrolet group gave me a car as fast as Xfinity Mobile, and I knew if we could qualify pretty decent, we were going to have a pretty good night all night long. So these guys gave me a good car, like I said, and I was a little worried about the qualifying. So now that we're kind of settled out, I knew I probably could have done a little better job. Car could have been a little bit better, but starting top three at Bristol, my first time in Xfinity car, I can't really complain too much about it.
No doubt. Good luck. Carson Quapple starts third. Couple of fast rookies chasing Kyle Larson at the front of the field later on today.
Yeah, all four Junior Motorsport Chevys qualify inside the top 8. For Zilich, it's his 6th top 4 finish, his top 4 start in the last 7 races. Larson is on the pole at Bristol. That will come from the back today. Kim?
And a good qualifying effort for Parker Retzlaff. Late in qualifying, had the provisional pole, ultimately get unseated. You'll start 9th. What did you need there?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I adjusted the brake bias too much to the front, made it a little too tight. I don't know if I had the speed on a 19, but I think we definitely had top 5 speed and a car as fast as Xfinity Mobile. I think the number 4 Chevrolet Visual Pack car is very good today, and I think that we have something to race for. We've been very consistent lately, just finishing top 20, but we want, to start running better, start getting some top 10s, and start competing a lot more. So I think we're building something good here, and we're looking forward to the future.
As we've been standing here, the sun's trying to pop out. We know the Cup cars will be on the track. We're talking about track changes. How much of a successful day today will be keeping up with the track and making the proper adjustments?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to rubber up, and I think it's going to get tighter like most tracks do. So it's just to make bigger changes than we're used to, just make sure to keep up the track and try and stay ahead of it. So I think it's going to be a long race. You got to keep up with it, or you'll be behind before you know it.
Parker Retzlaff with a top 10 starting position.
Yeah, he brings up a good point. It's a quick race. Things happen fast here, and it's a little bit of a sprint if you get those long green flag runs. But if you don't stay in front of it, once you get behind, you just don't have a big opportunity to recover.
No, you just don't get many pit stops here, and if you lose track position, it is really difficult to get it back, so you have to fight really hard to keep track position throughout the day.
What's up, Dylan?
Well, we found Justin Allgaier, brought him out of the warmth of his hauler here to chat about his 4th place qualifying run. So this place, it always moves around. Obviously, the groove does, but how critical is starting up front just to kind of stay out of some of the mess early?
Yeah, I mean, especially with what we saw last night in the truck race, obviously they didn't have practice, so there was a lot of unknowns. But, with the addition of the traction compound, the way that the racetrack's kind of played out so far, we have a great Jerry Logistics Chevy. Really proud of everybody at Junior Motorsports. I mean, you look at the qualifying order there, all of us right there inside the top 10, great effort. So to be 4th, actually, I'm probably more happy with 4th than I am with 2nd or 3rd because it gets you the preferred lane on the restart. And then just from there, managing the day. We felt like over the course of practice, we ran 50 straight laps just to see where the car was going to go, and felt like we put ourselves in a really good position to be as fast as Xfinity Mobile and be there at the end of a long run. And that pesky 17 car, though, he was pretty good too. We were matching lap times lap for lap. So I think the track's going to move a lot. We've seen a lot of marbles so far, kind of up in that upper groove. I think once Cup practice is going, and they really start to move around a lot more than what we were able to there. I think it's going to move in the race pretty quickly, but the biggest thing for us is, does the sun come out? It's so cold. All the fans that are here braving it out, it's been way colder than we all expected. So if you're at home and you're watching this on the CW, be glad because it is freezing here. But if the sun comes out, it is going to change the outcome of the race a little bit, and I think that's where we would probably shine a little bit more. Even if we could get better, it would be when the sun would come out.
Thanks, Justin.
Allgaier, always a player when it comes to racing in Bristol, Tennessee. Looking forward to the event later on today, round number